they're saying all the right things, they're doing all the right things, and yet you feel it's like something's missing. And you go and you think you're crazy, but you're not. And this is what I'm diving into in this video, because I've been in dynamics, whether it's friendships, whether it's romantic relationship that I spent years in, thinking I'm crazy, like what else could I want? And something was profoundly off. And it wasn't until years of inner work that I understood what it was. And I don't want you to have to wait for years to get to this part. And that's why I'm sharing this with you. It is transformational. And if you're in this place of, it feels like something's off, and there's nothing necessarily abusive or wrong, but right? Let's dive right in. Right things. And whether it's a friend, whether it's a partner, whether it's a family member, yet you don't feel safe. And you're at the point of thinking you're crazy. What more could you want? What is wrong with you that you're not happy, or you don't feel safe, you don't feel secure in this dynamic that seemingly is perfect? I have been in a relationship that felt exactly like that. I recently just interacted with someone who is like that, and they're like, reaching out and saying the right things. But underneath it is like, there's this distrust. Now, I've worked long enough with my intuition to know and to trust when something feels off. And ultimately, this is the place where we want to get to. We want to get to the point of, being so somatically connected to our body, like have that inner knowing that, okay, I just trust it. I don't understand it. I don't know, but I trust it. Because your body knows first before your mind catches on. Even when people come to me for readings or, for more intuitive work, and they ask a question and I go, you know the answer. But even though they know the answer, it's like, it's too close to heart, so they cover it up. It's like, no, but what about this thing? Or like, they don't actually want to hear the answer. It's really hard to speak to someone that, maybe asking for your advice, and then they're saying, oh yeah, but I actually think this. Like, okay. Who's not even letting you speak as they're asking, for your advice. So for example, hey, what do you think of that? What I think is yada, 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 right? This is exactly what we're doing with our intuition. So step one with this is, ideally you want to get to a point of, how much do I trust me? Number two, there's nothing wrong with you. And gosh, this is something that I needed to hear years ago, being in those dynamics where it didn't feel right. It didn't feel safe. And I was talking myself out of like, what's wrong with me? Why am I, acting crazy? What more could I want? I was speaking to friends and family who were also like, what more do you want? And not listening to my soul, something felt off. I understood what it was. And this is what I'm going to get into, in step 3. So step 2 is really understanding like, I'm not crazy, and understanding that if there's this knowing coming through you, it has the right to be. Okay? For men, for women, this is about accessing the inner feminine. This is about coming into your inner knowing, your intuitive self. And let's get to step number 3. What was actually happening for me in that experience, and the reason that I'm sharing this with you, where you're thinking, okay, there should be some reason that I don't feel safe, or what's up with this, and it seems wonderful and amazing. A lot of relationship coaches or male coaches are gonna go into the difference between the good guy, the nice guy, and then, the oppressive, abusive, more like the tyrant. Someone I worked with described it as the puppet and the tyrant. And then in the middle, you kind of have that masculine that is balanced. Okay. So this is the masculine, not just men. This is the masculine within us. This is where it gets interesting, because we want to blame and attack, but getting curious about that inner relationship with self, because that's where it all comes from. So we have the puppet, we have the tyrant. It's easy to tell the tyrant, like, I don't feel safe, they're abusive, they're controlling, they're telling me what to do, right? It's easy. It's not necessarily easy to walk away from those dynamics, right? Especially when there's like a push and pull and you want to be loved. And anyway, it has so much to do with like your upbringing and what you're used to. If you're used to chaos, that's what you might be drawn to. And then there's the puppet, which is just as bad, but you can't tell. They're the ones that are going to ask you, is everything okay? Did I do something wrong? And notice that question where it's like, oh, they care. They're trying to cover their ass. They're trying to ask, did I do something wrong? Am I okay? Am I enough? They're seeking validation instead of their being with your experience. It's those people that are seemingly like they're providers and they're doing everything right, but you don't feel safe with them. And seemingly everything is fine. That was my case. And I felt so empty. I felt emotionally not provided for. Like the person couldn't show up. They couldn't hold space for themselves. So therefore, they definitely couldn't hold space for me. They didn't love themselves, so they couldn't love me. But everything seemed perfect on the outside, so I felt crazy. And as my guidance was saying, leave. This is not it, and it can be better. I said, it can be better. I mean, look at all of this. And it's after years of inner work, I understood what it was really about. Because turns out that archetype, the puppet, the masculine that kind of goes, it's like, again, the masculine within us goes into the people pleaser, goes into that shadow, I want to like the shadow moon aspects, shadow feminine aspects of people pleasing, of kind of playing small, contracting. That is just as harmful as the opposite. Now, when we have that outside of us, the odds are that we have that within. It took me years to understand. Yes, there was this like, oh, right, okay, there's maybe some distrust towards men or towards my own masculine, like, he ain't got this. And what does that look like? What the embodiment of that looks like? So first of all, understanding if you are in these relationships. Is it, are they there? Be like, am I okay? And this shows up in men and women, by the way. This is not to say, this is like the masculine energy within all of us. How does the masculine energy in your partner show up as? Is it the tyrant? Is it the puppet? Or is it the balanced masculine? And understanding how it's showing up within you. It wasn't until recently that I had this, because I was like, oh, it's great. And I totally trust that. I trust the plan or the direction. I'm very intentional with my time. I structure things. I get things done. It's amazing. And it wasn't until recently that a layer that was like hidden came out, which was, do I trust that aspect in areas where he betrayed me? So you may have known my story. Long story short, at the age of 13, I like shut down the emotionality. I shut down the feelings like, okay, all of that is getting me hurt. I don't want to have anything to do with that. I became so driven and goal-oriented. I'm like, oh yeah, my masculine's got that. But that wasn't the balanced masculine. That was actually the ego covering it up. It was like, this part of you is not allowed. I'm taking charge, and this is how I'm taking charge, by wearing that mask of productivity, of accomplishment, of perfectionism. And now, later on, like after having done the work, it was like, oh, okay, I totally trust that aspect of myself. But do you trust that aspect of yourself in relationship, in creativity, in those things that are like the realm of the feminine? Do you trust it in that? And what came out was like, oh no. And so hence, we're going to keep creating those dynamics outside of us that mirror within us. Whether it's through friends, whether it's through family, whether it's through a romantic relationship, whether it's through work even. When we have not healed this within us. This does not get talked about enough, because again, we go into, how do I get out of an abusive relationship? Not understanding that lack of depth, lack of, I've got you. Lack of, when a person's rooted in themselves and centered and holding all of them, they're in wholeness and wholeheartedness. That too is an abusive relationship. But we don't see it, and we feel like we're crazy. Even though our soul knows that I'm not getting what I'm supposed to hear. So, first off, what are you hearing me say? Let me know down below in the comments. Where do you feel that your inner masculine's at? I'm going to use the terminology of the teacher that I work with. Is it a puppet? Is it a tyrant? Is it the balanced? So how do we know? The tyrant is controlling, it's abusive. Okay. The puppet is the one that's like, oh, did I do well? They're both coming from not enoughness. Just one is like, I don't feel enough, let me attack. And another one is, I don't feel enough, let me contract. And so it's things like, they're not there with your experience. They're there, did I do okay? What did I do wrong? What can I fix? Inability to be present. Inability and no awareness, like conscious awareness. That is really what the masculine energy is about. It's conscious awareness. Where are you at with this? And the balance looks like, well, conscious awareness. It's nobody, by the way, we're kind of moving through all of them. So I'm asking, it's not like, oh, okay, I'm never controlling and losing my crap. We're going through all of them. We're navigating through all of them. But like the majority of the time, where are you at? Okay. It's same like, don't get, when we're unhealed and we're like wounded and we want to see like, oh, see, they showed up as the puppet. They showed up as a tyrant. That's horrible. No one can be in that balanced state all the time. We're not supposed to be. But it's how fast can the person recognize it. So balance means awareness, means, recognition of that, means direction. Like, what is their purpose? And this also differs depending, because we're like looking for some traits in people. Depends what it is that you're looking for. Because some people want like, oh, I want, my friend group or my partner or my, people close to me to be in this place of devotion and like purpose and like to something greater to make the world a better place. Some people couldn't care less about that. It's like, no, I just want them to like be directional about their lives. So, but in any case, it's like direction and purpose, just see where that's at for you. And again, the question is about within, right? So where are you at on that scale? And how can you come into more of that balance? So again, maybe from the controlling and the tyrant coming back down. Or maybe it's from the contraction coming to the middle as well. Okay. So on this note, thank you so much for being here. There's a free resource in the description about the 4 energies. And because it's similarly as like, right, we want to understand the one archetype and the other to kind of land in the middle. The divide and conquer approach is a lot easier to work with. So I created this practice that you can listen to separately. There are like 4 elements. So there are 4 different audios, or there's one in one go. It's 33 minutes. And it's working with the different energy centers, the different, basically archetypes of self, and then connecting all of that. So if, you're here for wholeness, you feel you're here to live wholeheartedly and to feel deeply, and also to have that freedom, that purpose in your life, you're going to love it. So check it out down below, free gift in the description. I thank you so much. If you've received something from this, give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're new here. And I am wishing you a very powerful day. Many blessings.